Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tom Collier, the Painting Fool. Today I'll be doing a painting from a photograph of a gravel road going through a forest of birch trees. I call it gravel road. What else? I'll be using masking fluid to protect and preserve the areas where I'll need the white of birches. I'll also incorporate the use of salt to create some leaf-like textures and also a little texture to the gravel road. I'll be using 9 by 12 inch Arches 140 pound cold press watercolor paper, paints by Paul Rubens, Winsor & Newton masking fluid, and brushes by Sterling Edwards and Princeton. I'm happy you're here and I hope you enjoy watching it. Please consider subscribing. Let's get started having some fun. Here is the photograph that I'll be working from, downloaded from Paint My Photo website. It's pmp.com, I believe. And you're getting the masking put on where the birch trees are, and then now we're going to wet the area of the road itself. I'm using a Sterling Edwards round 12 brush, and we're putting in some earth tones, mostly some umber, burnt umber, and putting in a little area where there's a shadow being cast by the clump of trees. A little cadmium red light going in, and then some burnt sienna. Some yellow green. And we'll put another layer over that shadow on the road. And now sprinkling some salt. We don't want to overdo things. As you notice, I'm not using the shaker. I'm just kind of putting on some, and this is regular table salt, by the way. And then we've got to let that dry. So now we're back, and I think if you look closely you can see some of the textures that the salt has provided down in the road. We're laying in some of the yellows and light greens where the leaves are going to live, and And then we're going to put some more salt up there to give us some leafy texture. A little bit of sparkle. Put in just some, just a few dabs of orange. And then some darker greens. I mixed up a gray color for this lower area between the birch trees, which would be, you know, kind of living back in shadow from the canopy overhead. And then now I'm applying more salt up in the leaf area. And then we'll have to let that dry thoroughly. So here we are watching paint dry. Now I've got my palette knife, and we're going to scratch in some faint impressions of birch trunks way in the background here. And then also a little texture down below where some of the shrubs and bushes are living. Okay, now I've gone to a Sterling Edwards, I believe this is a number 4 round that I was using, and putting in some dabs of some texture in the foreground there. And now we're going to lift the masking fluid. Has dried pretty thoroughly, so we're going to take that off, and you'll magically see the white of the birch tree trunks show up quite starkly. This Winsor Newton masking fluid is pretty nice. It goes on nice and smooth and thin, and you can just kind of, you know, rub it a little bit with your finger, and then it kind of, and just pull it right up, and it comes right off of there. Okay, so now we're going to go about putting kind of a light gray tone on the, I guess would be the left side of these tree trunks to give them a little form, a little three-dimensionality. So we'll start out with a fairly light little shadow on that side. Being careful, of course, to leave a significant amount of the white showing, because after all, these are birch trees, so you know, from a distance they appear to be pretty white. Again, I'm using my Sterling Edwards number 4 round. It's a fairly small brush. Birch trees tend to get a lot darker toward the ground, toward the bottom of the tree. So I'm putting another layer in and kind of giving that a little bit more contrast. And then painting in some of the smaller branches. And now we'll paint in the little dark spots and stripes, more or less, that a person often sees on birch trees. Well, there you have it, a gravel road. I had a lot of fun doing this, some kind of different techniques involved. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time.